Yes, I'm afraid it's true, and I'm really sorry. After 13 years of making Wheeler Dealers, I'm now going to be leaving the show.
No one expected it to happen. One day, Ed China was teaching viewers how to fix car parts on Wheeler Dealers. The next day, he was gone. The show had kicked him out without any warning, and fans were completely shocked. Ed wasn't just another TV host. He was what made the show special. He was calm, smart, and had a quiet charm that made people love him. He brought real car knowledge into millions of homes around the world. When he left, it didn't feel like a simple change of cast. It felt like the people who made the show had betrayed their fans. Why would someone leave such a popular and successful show when it was doing so well? What went so wrong behind the scenes that Ed decided to give up everything? To understand this story, we need to go back to when Mike Brewer and Ed China first started working together and changed car shows forever. How it all started. The idea for Wheeler Dealers was simple. Find old classic cars, fix them up, show people how to do the work, and make it fun to watch. But Mike Brewer and Ed China accidentally created something much bigger than they planned. They made a show that would change how all car programs were made. Mike Brewer had already worked as a TV presenter for years and knew a lot about the car business. He was good at finding cars that were worth more than people thought. He could talk to sellers and get good deals, and he made it look easy and fun. Ed China was completely different. He was quiet, thoughtful, and incredibly tall at 6 feet and 7 inches. His brain worked like a computer when it came to fixing cars. Mike brought excitement and energy to the show. Ed brought skill and knowledge. Together, they were a perfect team even though they were so different. The show was careful and real. People watching didn't just see cars getting fixed. They actually learned how to do the work themselves. The camera didn't stop filming when things got messy or difficult. Ed explained everything, from welding broken parts to fixing complicated engine problems. He talked in a way that was both educational and somehow relaxing to listen to. His workshop felt like a classroom for anyone who dreamed of fixing up their own car in their garage. This wasn't just entertainment on TV. It was like taking a master class in car repair. For more than 10 years, this formula worked incredibly well. Fans all over the world felt connected not just to the cars, but to the special relationship between the two hosts. The show felt honest and familiar, like watching two old friends argue about car parts while creating something amazing together. But even as the show became more popular and developed a devoted following, quiet problems started to develop behind the scenes. People began whispering about disagreements and decisions being made in private meetings. Success always comes with a price, and their bill was about to come due. The move to America changes everything. When Wheeler Dealers moved to America in 2013, it wasn't just about fixing different cars. It was about expanding the show to reach more people. The United States had millions of car enthusiasts, and Wheeler Dealers had already proven it could compete with other international shows. This was their chance to grow bigger and become more than just a popular show in the UK. They wanted to become a global brand, but with this big step came attention from major TV networks, and with them came inevitable changes. The production budget got much larger, the sets became fancier, and the pressure to succeed got much higher. More people got involved in making decisions. There were more meetings with more executives. What used to be a small, tight-knit garage operation started to feel like a big corporate business. Suddenly, this modest UK show became a machine that had to produce episodes, deliver ratings, and entertain audiences on a strict schedule. Being authentic and real started to become less important than following the rules. The longer repair scenes that made the show special started getting cut shorter. Ed's detailed explanations about diagnosing problems, solving them, and using clever engineering tricks were shortened or removed completely to make room for commercial breaks and faster-paced editing. The episodes became more focused on Mike's flashy deal-making and less about Ed's quiet brilliance. Fans noticed these changes immediately. Online discussion forums buzzed with complaints. Comment sections filled up with people asking, "Where are the details? Where are the how-to explanations? What happened to actually learning something?" To many people working in television production, this just seemed like normal streamlining. It was standard procedure for American TV formatting, but to Ed China, these changes represented something much more serious. It was a philosophical shift away from everything that made Wheeler Dealers more than just another car show. The show wasn't just about fixing up old cars. It was about respecting the process of repair and trusting that the audience was smart enough to understand complex explanations. When the studio executives tried to push even further by cutting more workshop time, suggesting that some of the work should be done by other people off camera, and reducing Ed's role to quick sound bites, he knew they had crossed a line he couldn't accept. That Ed had to make a decision. This wasn't just about keeping a job. It was about his identity, his integrity, and everything he believed in as someone who creates educational content. What he chose to do next would shock fans, completely change the show's future, and start a storm of controversy that no one saw coming. Ed breaks his silence. The announcement didn't come from the show itself or from the TV network. It came directly from Ed through his own YouTube channel. He sat in front of a camera and spoke directly to the fans with no fancy production, no editing, and no script. Just Ed, a plain background, and the truth. His voice was calm and measured, but every word was important. Ed revealed that the network, Velocity, which was about to change its name to Motor Trend, had plans to reduce the mechanical repair segments even more. They wanted to modernize the show by cutting down on the long repair scenes, focusing more on entertainment value, and producing episodes much faster. To the executives, this made perfect business sense. Less time spent in the garage meant more airtime for flashy deal-making and audience-friendly drama that would boost ratings. But to Ed, this felt like a complete betrayal of what the show was supposed to be about. He explained that these changes would destroy the show's core identity. The technical depth that made the show educational would disappear completely, and with it, the learning value that had inspired countless people around the world who wanted to become mechanics or just work on their own cars. Staying with the show would mean pretending to be something he wasn't, faking expertise in quick segments, and watering down everything that made Wheeler Dealers special. So instead, he made the hardest decision of his career and walked away from it all. The video spread across the internet like wildfire. Fans were shocked but overwhelmingly supportive. In the comments, they praised Ed's integrity and called him a hero for standing up for what he believed in. The message was clear: being authentic mattered more to viewers than getting high TV ratings, but in the shadows of all that praise and support, something darker began to grow. Rumors started spreading, people began pointing fingers and making accusations, and a blame game was about to take a very personal and disturbing turn: the attack on Mike Brewer. As the internet rallied around Ed and supported his decision, a second story began to take hold. This one painted Mike Brewer as the villain who was responsible for what happened. In the eyes of some fans, someone had to be blamed for Ed's departure, and Mike was the most obvious target since he was still on the show. The accusations ranged from mild to very serious. Some people said he must have known what was happening and didn't try to stop it. Others claimed he let Ed take all the blame while protecting himself. Some fans went even further, claiming that Mike had been working behind the scenes to get more control of the show, quietly pushing Ed out to make the network executives happy and go along with their new vision for the program. This idea spread like wildfire through online forums and comment sections, fueled by speculation and strong emotions rather than facts. Mike denied all of these accusations publicly. He supported Ed's decision, praised his talent and skills, and wished him the best for the future. Privately, however, Mike was under attack. The backlash wasn't just people writing angry comments online. It became terrifyingly real and personal. In a heartbreaking interview later, Mike revealed that he and his family were being harassed online in very serious ways. His daughter received threats, his wife was terrified to leave the house, and eventually law enforcement had to step in to protect them from what had become a full-blown hate campaign. "I had to call the police," Mike said, his voice breaking with emotion. "Someone said they were going to kill me." It was a shocking twist in the story. The fallout from Ed's departure had turned into something dangerous and violent. What began as a disagreement about creative direction had now caused real harm to real people. Mike Brewer, whether he was guilty of the accusations or not, was caught in the middle of a storm he didn't create. His reputation was badly damaged, his family's safety was at risk, and the emotional and professional scars from this experience would last for years. To this day, there's no evidence that Mike planned or orchestrated Ed's exit from the show. But the court of public opinion had already made its decision. The damage was done. While Ed stayed silent about the matter and never publicly addressed the attacks or defended Mike, it was Mike who had to stand alone in the storm of criticism and threats. Even with all this controversy, the show didn't stop. Wheeler Dealers was still a global brand with millions of viewers, and it needed a new mechanic quickly. But how do you replace someone as beloved and skilled as Ed China? Trying to replace a legend, the producers chose Ant instead to fill Ed China's position. Ant was handsome, charismatic, and mechanically gifted. He seemed like the perfect person to fill Ed's very large shoes. He had been a police officer before becoming a car builder, which gave him real-world experience both working on cars and being comfortable in front of cameras. This was a rare combination that producers hoped would win over skeptical fans. The chemistry between Ant and Mike was good. The car projects were solid and interesting. The episodes flowed smoothly. Ant brought charm, efficiency, and a fresh energy to the screen. For a while, it looked like the show might actually survive the transition from Ed to a new co-host successfully. TV ratings stayed steady, and the basic format of the show remained intact, at least on the surface. But fans never stopped comparing the new version to the old one. Where Ed had been calm and methodical in his approach, Ant was fast, energetic, and always ready to perform for the camera. Where Ed taught viewers step-by-step processes, Ant focused more on entertaining them. Some viewers love Ed the new pace and the more polished visual style of the show. Others felt that something important was missing. They missed the quiet, thoughtful approach that had once made Wheeler Dealers feel like a real DIY garage where you could actually learn useful skills. To these fans, the show was becoming more of an entertainment program about cars rather than a show designed for people who truly love cars and want to work on them. By 2020, Ant decided to leave the show. There was no big controversy or angry exit like with Ed. It was just another change in the show's continuing evolution. Then came Mark Elvis Priestley as the new mechanic. He was knowledgeable, passionate, and easy for viewers to like. With his race team background and infectious enthusiasm, Elvis brought credibility and warmth to the workshop, yet even with his genuine skills and good-natured personality, the same criticisms continued. The new mechanics were definitely capable and skilled. The cars they worked on were interesting and well chosen. But fans kept asking the same question: where is the heart of the show? The real question wasn't whether these new hosts were good at what they did. Everyone could see that they were skilled and professional. The question was whether Wheeler Dealers could ever recover the soul it lost when Ed China walked out of that garage for the last time. While the show continued searching for its identity and trying to recreate the same magic twice, Ed was quietly building his own world away from television cameras. But he was far from forgotten by his fans. Ed builds his own world. In 2021, Ed China returned to making content, but not on television. Instead, he came back to YouTube, where he could control every aspect of his videos. There were no producers telling him what to do, no time limits, and no corporate interference. Just Ed, a camera, and the pure magic of real engineering work. He launched a series called Workshop Diaries that stripped everything back to the basics. As Ed's world on his terms. There were no network executives making demands, no flashy editing, and no scripted drama. Each episode was a deep dive into authentic repairs, experimental builds, and thoughtful explanations that viewers could actually follow and learn from. Ed worked on everything from electric car conversions to gearbox rebuilds. It was, in every sense, the true spirit of the original Wheeler Dealers restored and improved. He didn't just show viewers what he was doing. He explained why he was doing it that way, breaking down the logic and reasoning behind every step of the process. The tone of these videos was quiet, personal, and deeply satisfying to watch. Fans who had been starved of that old-school Ed China magic showed up in huge numbers. The comments sections flooded with praise from viewers. Longtime fans said watching his new content felt like coming home after a long journey. The view counts climbed steadily, subscribers rolled in by the thousands, and most importantly, Ed seemed genuinely happy. He was back in a space where passion and precision led the way, not deadlines and corporate drama. He even revisited some iconic vehicles from Wheeler Dealers, cars that never got the full spotlight they deserved when he was working under TV constraints. On his own channel, he could finally give those builds the love and attention they had missed on television. Without commercial breaks or editorial cuts demanded by executives, Ed could tell the complete story the way it was meant to be told, with all the detail and explanation that made his teaching so valuable. Meanwhile, Mike Brewer was still working hard on television, keeping the Wheeler Dealers brand alive with new co-hosts and fresh car builds. But as Workshop Diaries gained momentum and popularity, a question started echoing across the fan base. It got louder and more persistent with every video. Ed uploaded, what would happen if Mike and Ed ever crossed paths again? Would it be a happy reunion or an uncomfortable confrontation? Two different paths forward. Years have passed since the split, and Ed and Mike have both moved on, at least professionally. But for the fans who followed every engine rebuild, every gearbox repair, and every moment of friendly banter between the original hosts, the story doesn't feel finished. Mike Brewer still headlines Wheeler Dealers, adapting to changing times and working with rotating co-hosts. He has kept the brand alive through shifting markets, evolving TV formats, and the ever-changing demands of modern television. He has become the face of resilience, always smiling, always moving forward, and always finding the next great car deal. The show may look different now than it did in the early days, but its engine still runs strong. It continues to attract viewers and maintain its place in the competitive world of automotive television programming. Ed, meanwhile, has doubled down on integrity and authenticity. His YouTube channel Workshop Diaries thrives on passion over profit. He doesn't chase trending topics or tailor his content to please advertisers and corporate sponsors. He builds what he wants to build, explains what matters to him, and inspires a new generation of car enthusiasts who value authenticity above all else. His audience may be smaller than a major TV show, but his viewers are fiercely loyal, and they trust him completely. He has built something that belongs entirely to him, free from the compromises and constraints that drove him away from television. To this day, neither man has publicly addressed the other in any depth. There have been no joint interviews, no heartfelt social media posts, and no dramatic reunions. Just a long, complicated silence that fans continue to analyze and interpret. It's a silence filled with possibility and unspoken history, yet the community of Wheeler Dealers fans keeps asking the same questions. Could it ever happen? Could Ed and Mike team one more time for a special restoration project, a one-off episode, or even just a sit-down conversation about what really happened behind the scenes? The original Wheeler Dealers was never just about cars. It was about two men with completely different minds but the same passion in their hearts. It was about trust, friendship, and the joy of fixing what's broken, not just under the hood of a car, but between people too. Maybe the story isn't over yet. Maybe the garage door isn't closed for good. Maybe it's just waiting to be opened one last time, when the time is right and both men are ready to face each other again. The legacy continues. The Wheeler Dealers story raises important questions about what happens when creative vision clashes with business demands. Ed China's departure was clearly a moment when the show lost something essential, something that many fans believe it has never fully recovered, but the show has also evolved into something new. It continues to inspire people to work on cars, to learn about automotive history, and to appreciate the skill and craftsmanship that goes into restoration work. The new hosts bring their own talents and perspectives, and many viewers have come to appreciate what they offer. Ed's independent success on YouTube proves that there's still a hunger for detailed, educational automotive content. His approach shows that audiences are willing to invest time in longer, more technical explanations when they're presented by someone who truly understands the subject matter. The contrast between the two paths is striking. Wheeler Dealers represents the traditional television model, with its need for broad appeal, commercial considerations, and network oversight. Workshop Diaries represents the new digital model, where creators can speak directly to their audience without corporate interference. Both approaches have their merits and their limitations. Television provides resources, reach, and production values that individual creators struggle to match. But digital platforms offer creative freedom and authentic connection that corporate television often struggles to maintain. The story of Ed China and Wheeler Dealers is ultimately about more than just one man leaving one show. It's about the tension between artistic integrity and commercial success, between staying true to your values and adapting to changing market demands. What the future holds. As we look toward the future, several questions remain unanswered. Will Wheeler Dealers continue to evolve and find new ways to connect with audiences? Will Ed China's YouTube success inspire other skilled professionals to leave traditional media and build their own platforms? Perhaps most intriguingly, is there any possibility that the original partnership could be restored? The wounds from the departure and its aftermath may be too deep to heal, but time has a way of changing perspectives and priorities. Both men have proven that they can succeed independently. Mike has shown remarkable resilience in keeping Wheeler Dealers relevant and popular despite the challenges and controversies. Ed has demonstrated that authentic, educational content can thrive in the digital age. The automotive world continues to change rapidly, with electric vehicles, autonomous driving technology, and new manufacturing methods transforming the industry. These changes create opportunities for both traditional TV shows and independent creators to explore new topics and reach new audiences. Whatever happens next, the legacy of the original Wheeler Dealers partnership remains secure. For over a decade, Mike Brewer and Ed China showed millions of people that cars are more than just transportation. They're puzzles to be solved, history to be preserved, and dreams to be realized. The show taught viewers that with the right knowledge, tools, and patience, almost anything can be repaired and restored. That lesson continues to inspire people around the world, whether they're watching the current version of Wheeler Dealers or following Ed China's latest YouTube adventure. The story of their partnership and its end reminds us that even the most successful collaborations can face challenges that seem impossible to overcome. But it also shows us that creative people can find new ways to pursue their passions, even when old doors close behind them. In the end, perhaps that's the most important lesson of all. When one journey ends, another can begin. The garage door may have closed on one chapter of the Wheeler Dealers story, but the spirit of discovery, learning, and mechanical mastery continues in new forms and new places. The cars keep rolling, the wrenches keep turning, and somewhere in garages around the world, people inspired by both Mike and Ed continue to bring old machines back to life, one repair at a time.